I think in today's age, loneliness has definitely been creeping up more, even which is funny and ironic because we have social media and we're supposed to be even more connected. There are some of y'all that are lonely out there that you got family and friends and y'all lonely. Still, there's some of y'all that lost relationships and you're lonely. You lost your community and you're lonely. And some of y'all feel stuck. You don't really know what to do. Well, I have a story for you, and hopefully, it'll help you out. The year 2022 probably was the hardest year in my life. I started off going through my midlife crisis, me questioning my purpose, why I'm even here. I'd failed so much. I went to Ohio trying to get my graduate degree, failed that, had to come back home because of COVID and dropping out of school. I was living in poverty, and so I was back home, living with my parents, no job, unemployed. And I was just questioning my purpose and why I'm here. I felt stuck. I didn't really know what to do with my life. And then, I eventually got a girlfriend, and that helped for a little bit. But then my church community that I've been part of for 21 years fell apart and shattered. Because I was an only child, my church community I grew up with is the reason why I was able to socialize. It's the reason why I was able to learn how to even be a human being. Like, I didn't have any brothers, like I said, only child, didn't have any brothers and sisters, so I felt like me and my church community, I learned what it was like to have brothers, what it was like to have sisters, what it was like to have aunts that were and uncles still in my lives. Even though I had aunts and uncles, but by the time I became a teenager, I stopped communicating with a lot of parts of my family, so I got to feel like what it like to have grandparents because I never really got to hang out with mine. All my grandparents died by the time I was about 11 years old, and I never met my grandfather, so yeah, like being part of that church community, having that shatter, and it fell apart because of the allegations that my pastor did and stuff. It was really hard for me, and it was a big community. It was my main community I was a part of, so having that fall apart was pretty heartbreaking, to say the least. And then right after that, not even maybe 3 months after that, my girlfriend dumped me, which was also hard because I was going through some physical health problems, and right when I needed her the most, I felt like I got abandoned. Yeah, probably when I needed her the most. It felt like it was a scene in there's an anime called Black Clover, and I think it's like ending number 7, but there's a scene where he's basically like reaching out his hand and falling into the darkness, and that's kind of how it felt when I got dumped, because like I was already barely hanging on by a thread to have my whole community shattered and still going through, trying to figure out my purpose and what I'm supposed to be doing, and just to have that happen, it really broke me and it messed me up. And so after that, my health problems got worse. I was going to the doctors like literally every week for like, I don't know, 6 months. My health problems got so bad to where I went to the ER twice. I remember the second time I came from the ER, I was breaking down. I was having mental attacks, anxiety attacks. It was horrible. And I just didn't know what to do, man. And I thought at the time, I was like, well, I don't really know how I'm going to keep going this. I felt stuck because every time I would try to do anything, it just wouldn't work. And like my health issues were so debilitating that I felt like just waking up and existing was literally all I could do, because it was just so hard. And I remember crying out to God a lot of the times and reading my Bible, and I would hear silence. But I remember that I was like a couple of days after I had my mental breakdown, and I was crying out to God. And I remember He was saying, "I got you." And that Holy Spirit told me that, and I was like, man, that was very comforting. But it still was hard. Dealing with the church community and my breakup and everything. And I acknowledged those things happened, but my main problem was I don't think I accepted those things. think I accepted the fact that my church community was broken up, because like every day I would wake up and you know how you wake up from something and you still think, man, that really didn't happen. Maybe that was all a dream. That's how I would wake up sometimes during the day. I'd be like, yeah, my church community really didn't break up. Maybe it was just a bad dream that was happening. And I think that was the honest truth. And I remember it started 2023, just being, like I said, feeling sad, being lonely. And that's the thing. I had good parents that helped me out through this. There's no way I could have survived the last year without my parents. And my best friend and my brother, they also helped talk to me, even though they're not physically here. They talk to me. They help, but I still had this lonely feeling, and just I was trying to be strong all the time. And I know for a lot of people that's what it is. Like, you gotta be strong all the time, 24/7. Gotta be strong, because especially society and social media will tell you can't be weak, especially as a man. Can't be weak. Gotta be strong. Gotta be strong. Don't let nobody see you weak. But I honestly think that's what was part of keeping me stuck, was trying to be strong. So I remember one day I was going to get my car fixed because I needed it for inspection. So I was going to get it inspected. And I was listening to a song by Matthew West called Truth Be Told. And one of the lyrics talks about, I say I'm fine, I say I'm fine, I say I'm fine, but I'm not. I'm broken. And I remember listening to that, and that just hit me. I mean, it hit me hard. I started crying hard, like Dad Naruto cried. Like, spoilers. If you ever watch Naruto, there's a scene in Naruto when he finds out Jiraiya dies, and he's sitting on a bench, and he's just like crying silently, and the tears are just dripping. He's not really saying, he's just crying silently. That's what I started doing. I started crying silently and just dripping. And at that moment, I remember accepting the fact I was crying out to God in my heart. I was like, God, I'm broken. I'm messed up. I was like, I don't know what to do. I said, my health issues sometimes keep me incapacitated from doing what I want to do. I was like, I'm broken in my heart. My community is broken. I said, my relationship is broken. So our relationship, it hurt, and I'm broken because of that. I said, I'm having a hard time trusting again. Lord, it's just, I remember a minute ago right then, I was like, I'm broken and I need your help, God. I don't know what to do. I said, I'm not strong. I'm weak. I can't do this. I don't know what to do. And like, I remember I started to heal. It felt really good to cry because I hadn't cried in a while. And I remember I started to heal right then and there. And then I listened to another song literally like maybe a couple minutes later, right before I was about to go get my car inspected, called Past Lives. And I would have dreams about my church, and sometimes dreams about relationship, dreams about like other family members I haven't talked to in a while. And so I remember crying like deeply about that song, and I just like, I feel like I accepted the fact that my church community was gone and it's not coming back. I feel like I finally accepted that, and I was like, well, I'll take what I learned from my church and, apply it to my lives, the lessons and values I learned. Like, I accepted the fact that the relationship that I was in, like, I tried my best, I did everything, and I was abandoned, and it hurt. But I accepted that fact. I accepted the fact that I was hurt. I accepted the fact that I might not be able to ever see certain family members again. And it hurt, but I feel like also ultimately because I accepted those, truths, like I was able to start healing. And even though physically a lot hasn't changed in my situation, I mean, other than my health issues aren't as severe as they were, I feel like I've been starting to be able to like move forward again. I feel like I'm not as stuck, and maybe, that's what some of y'all out there might need to do. Admit that you're broken. Admit that it hurts instead of always trying to be strong all the time. I gotta be strong. Nah, sometimes you gotta admit, like, nah, I've been hurt. This hurts. I'm not strong. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Because it worked for me. So, maybe it might work for y'all. And then you can start healing. And when you start healing, you can start moving forward. So, yeah.